investigation that found prima facie evidence that her mother obtained South African citizenship through identity theft. Her defense argued today that she has strong ties to South Africa. She was born here, as was her son. Her mother is under house arrest while her father lives in Nigeria. At her last court appearance, Adetshina filed an affidavit outlining the steps that she has taken to regularize her immigration status. All right, for more on the Chidina Ajitima heading to court in a bid to stop her deportation, we're now joined by immigration expert Brandon Shabangu. Brandon, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. So Adetshina argues that she's got strong ties to South Africa. She was born in South Africa. She has a son who's born in South Africa. Are these grounds strong enough for her to fight against being deported?
Good evening, Katlego, and viewers at home. Let's take off by analyzing the legal framework first before we can answer whether or not she's got a case or not. Number one, the legal principle in the country is that a child assumes the status of the parent. And this matter requires us to look not only on that principle, but to also look at what are the constitutional requirements, as this matter is a salad of, or requires a salad of interpretations. One, you're looking at the Immigration Act, you're looking at the Citizenship Act, you're looking at the Constitution of South Africa, and the South African Identity Act. So for Chidima to say she's got a strong ties in South Africa, we know that she said she was born in South Africa by a mother and a father in the early 2001 or so. She then studied in South Africa, and only up and when she was 23 years of age, she discovered that her identity is questionable. Then that's where the problem starts. We can argue that generally or in common law, she is indeed having a strong ties in South Africa.
Yeah. So, I mean, she was once considered an undesirable individual. She left South Africa. She submitted, in fact, her South African documents were then declared unlawful. It is said that she then returned to South Africa. Do you think the series of events would work against her in any way?
Let's start off here by first answering the question. Did Chidima acquire a South African identity document lawfully, or did she become a South African, irrespective of what we have discovered later? If the question is answered positively, then she is not a subject of the South African Immigration Act. She will then have to be looked at under the budget to say, did the Department of Home Affairs follow the substantive as well as the procedural requirement in cancelling her South African ID? So at this stage, that is subject to the court proceedings that are now pending.
So, I mean, if both Adetshina's and her mom's identity documents were revoked on the basis that they were fraudulently obtained, what standard of proof does then Home Affairs actually need to meet before it can strip someone of their citizenship if they've held those documents for years?
I think it is a matter of common cause, Katlego, that in October 2024, Home Affairs required of the pageant to make representations before they could even withdraw the ID. Home Affairs made a public statement that no representation were made by Chidima Adetshina and her mom. Consequently, then the ID was cancelled. So from the side of Home Affairs, it will appear that they have complied with the requirement of the law. As to why Chidima and her mom did not make representation at the time the opportunity was afforded to them, we do not know. Maybe they will explain it in the papers that are before the court.
Yeah. And I mean, this next question really might be bordering on not necessarily this being about a legal matter, because, I mean, she went on to compete for Miss Universe Nigeria after withdrawing from the South African pageant. Does holding herself out representing Nigeria on an international stage complicate her legal claim to South African nationality?
That was an announcement by herself. She had made a choice that she's a Nigerian at that time. and she had declared that publicly. You'll remember that the Home Affairs withdrawal was under Section 29, 1F of the Immigration Act, meaning is a question of fraudulent possession of an identity document. So on that score, she had a room to come and contest that she is a South African and she cannot be blamed by the crime committed by her mother. And you will remember that it was on that reason that the Department of Home Affairs decided not to charge her with her mother at the time. So I think she had a ground to fight her case then. As to the later announcement of herself as Miss Nigeria Universe, then it complicates the matter and makes the case a bit difficult for her to come and claim that she's a South African.
This case, Brandon, keeps surfacing allegations of fraudulently obtained identity documents going back years. Is this actually symptomatic of a wider vulnerability in home affairs issues and the verifying of IDs rather than this just being an isolated case?
Well, it is. These cases, they appear now and again before the Department of Home Affairs. We have a lot of what we call Section 49 candidates. Those are the individuals who enter South Africa with fraudulent document, or they enter with legal status that gets to be illegal while they are in the country, either by means of failing to renew or obtaining documents that contravene the law. We know now that in terms of Section 49 of the Immigration Act, such a person is liable for a criminal prosecution, which I think Chidima is now facing the same criminal action by the department.
And do you think this case would set a precedence in whatever the outcome may be in deterring some of those actions of fraudulently obtaining documents such as the accusations against Chidima's mother?
I think you'll note that Chidima's mom is still undergoing a trial at this stage. She's out on a 10,000 rands bail, as far as I remember. The state is still gathering more evidence that can support its case in the trial. We don't know what outcome will be there as well, so we cannot rush to say maybe a harsh outcome can prove that this can be a stern warning or a precedence on matters of this nature. All we can say at this stage is that both matters, her mom and her case, are now subject to a judicial process.
Yeah. This story, Brandon, has really generated enormous public interest since the pageant and all that controversy first broke. Is there a risk that her case becomes a proxy for the country's broader immigration debate rather than being judged strictly on its own merits?
It requires to be judged in its own merit. And you can see as well that the debates that are coming forth are that many are saying she is a citizen of South Africa under Section 4, right, with subsection 2 of the Citizenship Act. Others are saying she obtained the South African citizenship by birth. We know that South Africa does not